Hello, everyone. Welcome to another BookTrib live chat. Today, I'm very happy to introduce you to Lisa Garr, who's the author of the new book, Becoming Aware: How to Repattern Your Brain and Revitalize Your Life. Now, many of you might be familiar with Lisa from her radio show and her internet radio shows, The Aware Show and Being Aware. She's also on she has a show on Gaiam TV. And Lisa's amassed a large following of listeners who tune into her shows to hear her interview new voices and seasoned masters in the area of human development and higher consciousness. And definitely after this chat, head over to Amazon.com to purchase a copy of your very own. And before we dive into the interview, I just want to remind everybody to head over to BookTrib.com after this for our schedule of chats, original content, giveaways, and more. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really great. Thanks.
Now, I think we're just going to dive right in today. We have some questions that really get to the heart of the book. So this first one here is from Amy. And Amy, whoops, just trying to put it on screen here. Amy says, she mentions, because you mentioned in the beginning of the book, this traumatic accident, brain injury that you had, and how it kind of not only changed your life, but it altered your perspective. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about that.
The brain injury was a result of a bike accident that I had. I was in a mountain bike race, and I'm a huge fan of mountain biking. However, it was 108 degrees in this particular day, middle of the afternoon, 5,000 feet of climbing. It was a treacherous race. And I was just about to get to the finish line, which is at the bottom of a hill. I was on the top, and something that I said, I let go in my brain and thought, okay, I'm done. This is great. The finish line's at the end. I'm finished with the race. And I was in second place, and I saw the first place girl in front of me, and I thought, gosh, how did that happen? I could actually catch her. This is great. All right. And then I passed out in that moment. But
Wow.
I didn't do it. I passed out while I was still pedaling. So I slowly tipped over and must have landed directly on my head because my helmet got cracked in about 13 places. It got shattered and flew off, and it was one of the ways that I discovered what had happened to my brain. I really went through, at that time, an incredible experience, which a lot of my book is about, the experience that I went through during that accident. Yes, I had brain damage, but I didn't know that till later. What I experienced was probably the most conscious I've ever been. It was probably the most aware I had ever been. And it was completely expanded. And I was able to start to experience the world that we live in as a whole and completely seamlessly interconnected. And then I also became the observer of my scene. I started to I saw my body down below, and I started to observe what was happening and how the medics were coming up and helping my body, but yet they were more interesting to me than the body because I was feeling their feelings and thoughts. I was so connected with all that was and all that is. And there was no pain. There was silence. It was really incredibly beautiful. It was one of those experiences that I remember so vividly and so clearly, just like it was yesterday. They call it a near-death experience. It's whatever it wants to be called. I just know the feeling that I had changed the trajectory of my life. And then I had to deal with the brain damage. When I got back into the body, I had to deal with the damage and trying to talk again and everything that came from a damaged brain, and all the while trying to get back to that state of pure, expanded awareness.
So how did that immediately affect your journey, aside from the physical aspects and mental aspects of a traumatic brain injury, but how did that change your own spiritual journey, your path to recapture this type of awareness?
I was pretty much on a path then to seek that feeling again, but not to seek it, but to realize it again. because it wasn't something that I went after in the beginning. It was something that I became. So prior to this bike accident, I was working extremely hard, reacting a lot from my past, a very unfocused, purposeless workaholic. And I was in a broken up relationship at the time, and that guy came with me to this mountain bike race just because we raced the whole series together, which lasts for a year. And we decided just to go to the last race together, and that was going to be the end of our relationship. So I was in every way going in the wrong direction in my life. Mm-hmm. And this accident showed me that there's so much more than what we believe to be our own little focused lives. And we get sometimes tunnel visioned when we get in that space of so focused and so driven and so motivated. There's drive without purpose and passion is your way towards a purposeless life. I mean, it really is. I don't want to say death, but it's pretty close. It goes nowhere. And I think I was looking for a way to really refocus, and it changed my entire trajectory. After that, I started to take visualization classes and intuition, and I really started to develop my own psychic awareness, meaning my energy field and other people's energy fields, and then intuition. And then I started diving into a master's program. And I mean, I really got into what I wanted to do, first of all, to heal my brain as I was going through EEG and neurofeedback, but to seek conscious conversations. And that's where I started the Aware Show. As I was going through the healing process and the neurofeedback and the classes, I started a radio show connecting with people that I thought were magnificent in this world, doing incredible work, but they didn't have that much, people didn't know about them. And that's all I wanted to do, was just connect with them and talk about what they do on the air. And that was 15 years ago.
Well, now, we talked about this a little bit before we went live, but I was commenting on just the sheer number of people who you've interviewed and that knowledge that you've, absorbed through the process. And I know this must be a difficult question, but, is there anybody who really catalyzed something for you? Is there somebody who you have a really, you have a deep spiritual connection somehow? Is there anyone in particular who really pushed you along this journey to write your book?
I would say there's so many, and the teachings that I've followed of Joe Dispenza are incredible, and the healings and so forth from Dane Heer and from Michael Tamora, my spiritual teacher. But Wayne Dyer really was instrumental in having me realize, after 10 years of doing public radio, with just having these conscious conversations and really connecting with the audience and with people, he said to me, Lisa, let me help you get to another level here. And as he does, in such an incredible way, he mentors people that he feels passionate about. And he introduced me. We were working a lot with Hay House at the time, and Hay House had a lot of authors on my show, and it was a great relationship. And he said, you need to write your book, and let me connect you with Reed Tracy at Hay House, and let me really get this book written and help you with that. And he was really the inspiration that said to me, all right, let's really move this into the next level, and let's really make this your mark in the world of what I've learned and what I want to share with people, and my story and my experience, and continue on this journey, because it began a whole new journey for me of being an author. And I've never ever even dreamed of doing this authorship, but it's such a beautiful journey and experience to really truly connect with the audience in a different way. It's never been about me. It's always been about the person I'm interviewing. But I have accumulated so much information that I really want to share as well. So that's why Wayne helped, and that's what I've learned now, and he's been such an amazing inspiration for me.
Right. Now, one thing that's great about your book is it's filled with Aware-isms, which are your tips for readers. So let's say there's somebody who, is watching this live chat right now. They pick up a book. What is the most I don't want to say the most important, but what's a fundamental awareism that they should, you know, really take into action or implement?
Okay.
First
Well,
one.
okay, so think about your day today. Who have you had a connected conscious conversation with up to this point today? And we start all the way back to the beginning of your day. Did
Hmm.
you have that? Did you go through the to-do list with your honey or with your child, what they're doing today, or did you get to work and get through your daily task list? Or did you start off that conversation with a real conscious connection with, I'm going to have this type of day. I'm going to intend my day to be, to feel good or to start a new workout routine or stay committed to, I'm doing a cleanse today, you know, to stay committed to my cleanse day today. Those types of things. I mean, how have you consciously connected with your day and every conversation that you've had? Have you recognized the feelings of somebody else or said hello to someone you haven't said hello to for a long time? I mean, just to start off on that simple way of conscious connected conversations. And can you up-level those conversations that you've had today? And just ask yourself that question. And I would love to ask you that question. Is there a conversation that you could have had in a different way today or connected with in a different way or call somebody that you haven't spoken with for a little while?
I haven't done, I could definitely have had multiple conversations different ways today. I don't think I've made that, you know, that conscious connection in any of my actions so far.
It's interesting. And this is, you know, I find myself going back to that rut sometimes of busyness, and the to-do list. But I get this oasis every day of being able to interview incredible people that set
Mm.
me back on my path. I mean, just the other day, I got to interview this Dr. Pillai, and he's a enlightened master from the South Indian Siddha tradition. And he gave me the most beautiful definition of the distinction between awareness and consciousness. And I'll tell you, that'll stay with me. That will stay with me. And the conversation he had about the light and the light body, I mean, it just changes, it completely changed the outcome for the rest of my day. Just that one conversation. And I do get to interview enlightened masters and so forth, but you can do it on your own. You can listen to one of my shows or your shows or have, you know, read a good book. It's just a matter of slightly upgrading your conversation every single day.
Sounds simple enough. I
Yeah.
think it's something that a lot of people can definitely, you know, put into practice with very little effort, but you know, it grows and grows and becomes a bigger part of your life.
Yeah.
So I have a question here from Marley, and Marley says that in your book you talk about repatterning your brain for optimal function using brainastics. What are brainastics?
Brain gymnastics, I love talking about this because it's visualization basically is another way of what I call brain gymnastics, but it's doing it specifically and intentionally. So there
Mhm.
are visualization processes that I put in the book, and I really wanted to include them in the book. They're QR codes you can scan your phone over, and they take you to a 15-minute video, two of them in there, of going into your future and acting and imagining as if your dream is realized. And
Mm.
in that process, it's a 15-minute process that really lights up the neurons in the brain. And as the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza wonderfully shows us in some of his videos of neural networks, you can literally fire the neurons together and they wire together and they form bundles in the brain. So you're doing these exercises that form a physical image in the brain, a mental image picture that then you start to build upon. And it stimulates the reticular activating system in the brain, and you really start to build that memory and act as if it's already happening in the visualization process so that during your day, if you're driving or if you're in an elevator or wherever it is during your day, you just have little reminders of that every single day. You can put it on your screensaver of your phone where you see that dream visualized and realized on a daily basis. And that continues to fire the neurons and wire them together of that dream realized. Even if you've received really devastating information or news that day, or you feel there's a big problem happening you're trying to solve, continue to just fire that visualization just once, just remember it, a memory throughout the day. Just continue to remember it. Stay focused on the goal. Stay focused on the outcome. Stay focused on the feeling, the desired feeling. And then every single thing that you do that day starts to wire towards that goal. It's very easy to get panicked and panic-stricken about maybe the news or the daunting task or the lack of money or lack of relationship or whatever it is that could be the problem. I think that we need to retrain our brains to looking at what's possible and really starting to wire and fire together what's possible and stay in that space. And that's the only way I believe that the miracles can start to form. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible concept. And this is the type of, is this the kind of idea that you were exploring even before you had your own personal brain injury? Is that something that you've been studying about for a long time?
You know what, Sarah? I've always loved the why we do what we do question. I love human behavior and people and why we do what we do. I picked up a book when I was 12 called Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain, and that was my first book that really showed me that we can creatively visualize what it is that we want to create, that we can somehow be the master of our destiny, that we have choice in the matter, that we don't necessarily need to be victims of our upbringing or childhood, even though that's an option, but we could actually have choice in creating our future. And I loved that book. It was a very tiny book. And I read it when I was really young. So I was interested in this before my accident. And then I got off of that path, as we do in our teenage years. And then I think the accident was just a way of setting me back on that path.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, Allie has a question here. She says, tell us about your background in the healing arts.
Well, I explained a little bit about it when I was taking the intuition classes and the psychic development. And then I went on to take a master's program, which I actually haven't completed yet because I got so busy, which I really, really want to go back and do. And I got to put that back in my visualization. It's coming up a lot lately, in transformational psychology. So that's my background in terms of studying, and also the 3,300 interviews that I've done and people that I've studied. This is my daily work. This is more than an internship or a master's. It is a daily work for me to be able to research and study what it is that I interview the next day and feed back the next day. It's along what you do, and I imagine what you do in terms of it's your daily school, it's your daily learning.
Now, you talk a lot about gratitude in the book, and how important is that along your own journey to awareness?
Wow, that's a big one. Gratitude's a big one, especially if things are going wrong. And if things are going wrong, to be grateful for that situation is the last and the furthest thing from your mind. And so it's a deep practice to be able to be grateful for that moment, because it helps you illuminate and become aware of how you got there, or what that moment's trying to teach you, or how that moment could actually catapult you into the future. And just that little moment of, okay, I'm in this situation. Okay, I'm really grateful for the awareness it brought me, and it's going to catapult me in this direction because it's going to give me the fire because I don't want to be here anymore. Just that moment of gratitude helps shift or provide that bridge that's needed to get out of the pain. And that's kind of what that little moment of gratitude does. And also at the same time, if you're in an elated moment or a victory or something that's really great that's happened, you can make that moment longer and really immerse yourself in that feeling of gratitude and be thankful for the people that helped get you there, or the situations and circumstances that lined up in order for you to be in that moment. And that's also another great thing to add to your visualization, is adding that gratitude of that moment in your visualization is a huge moment. When you act as if the situation has already happened, and then you are grateful for all of the people that helped you get into that moment and that situation or that victory or that feeling of peace. In the visualization process, gratitude is a huge point. So grateful for it if things aren't going well to help catalyze the next moment. Grateful for the situation as it has happened, and then you can also be grateful in the visualization process. That's a big part.
It is a big part, yeah. I mean, it sounds like such a great way to practice when you're in the middle of a frustrating situation, whether you're at work or you're at home, dealing with difficult things, to just practice that small task, and in a way takes you outside of yourself, and puts it in perspective. Now,
Yes,
I have a question here from, yeah, I have a question here from Becca, and she says, what are some tips to get your energy back on track? Gratitude, I'm assuming, is one of them.
well, energy-wise, I'm a big fan of, I'm a huge exercise fan. So I believe that just to get your reset button hit every day, I exercise in the morning. I love that. It clears my brain. It resets my energy. It allows me a little bit of zone out time to go from the waking to from the sleeping to the waking state. And then about 20 minutes into my exercise or 30 minutes in, I start to come up with my priority for my day, but in a way that's a higher brain thinking. And literally chemicals start to release during your exercise period, if it's walking or on a bike or yoga or whatever it is. Those great neurotransmitters start to release in the brain, allowing you to reset your energy, get your energy up, and it's 10 times better than coffee because it's a focused awareness. And then you can start to prioritize your day in a way of things that mean something to you and why you're doing things. And the things that aren't meaningful or don't contribute to your life start to fall off. And that's a great way to really bring your energy up. And then it lasts throughout the day, I believe. Even if you exercise at night, it's a great way to just keep your energy clear and clean.
Now, switching topics just a little bit over here, you talk in the book about surrounding yourself with the right people, and you have a little checklist about, how do you to determine whether or not you have the right team around you. Now, can you explain why that's important and what some key red flags are maybe that the people you have around you are really, hindering your journey to awareness or, fulfillment or happiness or something like that?
That's a great question. Yes. I am all about team. I am all about team. I know there's nothing that I could do without the incredible people that are with me on this journey. And we're all aligned in a very, very close mission here of bringing awareness and communicating messages to inspire other people's positive growth and change. It's not just us that we're in this for. It's a giant movement that everyone is a part of. So I am a huge fan of my executive producer, Gino Salvati, has been with me for 15 years or 13 years, somewhere around, teens, in the long time. And we've attracted people that are aligned with this mission, that really want to carry that forward. So if someone is also, wants to join in the team and so forth, there's various people that have come with us throughout the years. If they add to that momentum and if they add to that energy, I had a recurring dream at one point during my healing process, that was a train. It was a locomotive train, and it was moving very, very slowly. And I would walk up onto this train as it was moving, and it was pretty much a train of consciousness. And people operating the train were all very like-minded people. And there were these visionary leaders and sitting in these chairs, having a joyful time, really contributing to joy and the planet. But yet at the same time, driving this train of consciousness. And the outside of the train, it said Aware. So I always think of the people that come on the team or help with recommending guests to the show, or that are guests on the show, or that want to contribute to being on the team, have to be on that train of consciousness. They can't take away from the energy in any way or drain the energy in any way. They have to be contributing to the forward momentum of the energy. And if they make it in any way all about them, it siphons away the energy. If they say, this is something that has to be done right now, and and it sucks away and pulls away from the overall big picture, they will naturally fall off because they're not in alignment with the energy of the team. I've seen it, and sometimes people will come onto the team and, have a mission or a purpose that's aligned with the team, and somehow when they fulfilled that mission or purpose, their energy or frequency changes and they naturally disalign with the team and they go on their own trajectory with the blessings of the team. It's a beautiful thing I've seen. I've really watched this happen over the 15 years we've done this, where people will come on, get what they need, contribute to the bigger picture, move on. Or come on, get what they need, really align with the mission, and stay. It's really quite incredible when you set the level at a certain frequency. You'll see, people that you work with just work well with you. And those that don't work are misaligned, and they naturally deselect themselves. It's fascinating. It is fascinating, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, you know what? We're getting towards the end of our chat today, but I wanted to ask you, we are. It doesn't seem like it's been so long, but so what do you hope readers get out of Becoming Aware?
Gosh, there's so much. There's a lot of different levels to the book. One is really allowing yourself to have that moment, that pinnacle moment that you had in your life. For me, it was that accident. But for you, it could be any trajectory moment, moment that changed the trajectory of your life. It could be a job firing. It could be a moment of awakening and awareness. It could be a fantastic new job. It doesn't have to be tragic. It could be any moment that shifts the trajectory of your life, that just takes the fork prong and goes like that, and then you go in a totally different direction. And to really look back at that moment and look for the meaning in that moment. And if it was a tragic experience that happened, reassign the meaning from a place of gratitude of, wow, if that wouldn't have ever happened, that death, that cancer, that firing, that divorce, that inspiring moment, that mentor, whatever, if that didn't happen, where would I be? And as a result of that happening, where did I wind up? And so it's an invitation to really look at that moment in your life. And also, the different awareisms there is to be connected with conscious conversations, to apply this to business, to parenting, to healthy eating, to exercise, to relationships, to finances, to just apply it to all. And not in an umbrella, vague way, but to really dive in and to walk your talk.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you again. This is Lisa Garr. She's the author of Becoming Aware. You can buy the book on Amazon.com, wherever books are sold. Head over to her website, which is theawareshow.com, and then head back over to BookTrib for original content, our schedule of live chats, giveaways, and more. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Take care.
You too.